Let me just double check my time. All right, so I'm at the top of the hour. Gentlemen, if you are ready for me to get started, then shall we?
Sounds good.
All right. So let me go ahead and just point out a couple of very, very important reminders real quick before we get totally started here. First and foremost is the majority of our audience out there today, you are real estate agents, you are independent contractors. So what that means to you is that nobody told you to be here. You are independent contractors. What that means to us, however, is that you are giving us your very, very valuable time. We very, very much appreciate it. And my goal is to make sure that you leave the our event today with knowledge that has made your time worthwhile. So you'll let us know if we're able to do that. A couple of other things, because we are certainly talking about AI. We also want to remind you, as you're using any of these tools and techniques that we're going to talk about today, to create your marketing pieces, to maybe create your prospecting plans. Make sure that you are following all of the appropriate advertising guidelines, not only federal for housing, but of course, whatever your state and local uh, requirements are, and whatever requirements are put out by your local realtor boards or by the brokerage that you have chosen to affiliate with. Last thing, I think we were just chatting. I don't know if how many of you caught it, but we were talking about AI and fraud. So be aware, not just with AI, but fraud in general is out there. So stay vigilant, stay safe, protect your commissions, protect your customers and clients. And the last reminder, as we said, we're talking about AI for the next hour. AI is a phenomenal tool. You're really going to enjoy what we talk about today, but it is not a replacement for you. It is not a licensed real estate agent like you are. It does not know about federal for housing and all those things that I just got done talking about. So always, always, always double check. Always, always, always be cautious. And now I get to have the wonderful privilege of introducing our guests. Let me introduce myself first, of course. My name is Melanie Dawn Molina Wood. I am the Educational Program Coordinator for Anywhere Integrated Services. And Anywhere, of course, is a family of companies all across the country. We have all sorts of title related services for wherever you are in the country. And in fact, one of our speakers today is with Texas American out of Houston, Texas. So wherever you are, we have a title solution for you. And since I mentioned Mike, I'll go ahead and start with him. Mike Snyder is the title sales rep for Texas American Title in Katy, Texas. Katy is kind of close to Houston there. Mike believes in a real estate remains a kitchen table business. I love that, Mike. And his goal is to help real estate agents just like you, all of our audience out there, secure a seat at more kitchen tables by leveraging AI. I love that. So that's Mike. Let's talk about David. So David is coming to us from Pennsylvania with over 17 years of experience. David is dedicated to providing exceptional service and professional guidance, helping clients make informed decisions with confidence. His extension yeah, let me try to start that one over again. His extensive market knowledge combined with the personalized and enjoyable process ensures that every client feels supported and valued. And of course, David is going to fill us all in on how he is using AI to help him do exactly that. And then, last but certainly not least, joining us from La Mesa, California, Stephen teamed up with his father, also named Stephen, creating a dynamic real estate partnership that was formed in 1998. So, together, they provide over 60 years of real estate expertise. And this combination creates market wisdom and knowledge that surpasses all others and allows them to seize opportunities and better advise their clients on all of their real estate decisions. And I was teasing Steve a little bit before we got started that he's got this wonderful setup there with his microphone in the background. And he told me that that's because he does a lot of videos as part of his business. And he's going to tell us today how he uses AI to help him do just that. So, with that, let me get rid of this screen and close that down, close that down. And I think we should be with our guest speakers on the screen. Everybody kind of give a wave. Was there anything? Take yourselves all off of mute. I see all
Yep.
those buttons going on there. So, gentlemen, I've introduced you. Was there anything that else that you wanted our audience to know that I did not mention?
I mean,
Any?
I think the biggest thing with AI is, you have to embrace AI if you're going to stay in the market, right? Because it is a thing that's staying. I don't foresee it going away. So if you don't embrace it right now, you're going to really fall behind. So I know it seems scary, and it's not going to take over everyone's job like everyone thinks. Just look at it as an assistant that you can pretty much smack around and use it as best as you can.
Thank you. And with that, well, let's go ahead and get started with what is, and David, we'll start with you. What is your personal experience with AI? Can you, what was the first tool that you integrated into your business?
So the first thing I did was using ChatGPT to help take the emotion side out of things. So, for example, like if someone sent me an email and you read the email, you're like, "Oh my gosh, how am I going to reply back to this person without sounding like a jerk, or being angry at what they're asking or whatever that may be?" So I use ChatGPT. It says, "Hey, here's an email. I need to reply back. Here's my tone of professionalism. Give me something to reply back to them." So it helped me take that emotion piece out to reply to text messages and emails and all that good stuff. So it was very helpful with that. Not that we get angry a lot, but you get stuff a lot of times in email or text, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're asking that, or why did he ask that question, or whatever it may be.
Mhm.
Especially dealing with other agents, right? Because there's some agents that you don't want to deal with. So, but you want to be professional. So that's definitely the first start of what I got into using AI.
Mike, what about you?
I gotta agree with David. There's been some times where I put an email that I wanted to send in ChatGPT, said, "Make this nice, make,
That was the
make,
prompt. Make this
make this
nice.
professional, make this something I'm not gonna get fired for if I send it." I think the same thing where a lot of people started. I started with ChatGPT, and that was to just as I started kind of noodling around with it and finding out what it could do, is, hey, give me a list. And maybe I was trying to describe uh, for my business, maybe I'm trying to describe the perfect client, the perfect real estate agent, and what are some strategies? Give me 5 bullet points for reaching out to a new agent, or an agent that's got a long time relationship with the title company, something like that. So mine was more strategies, and then I turned it into things for real estate agents, and just saying, well, who I like to kind of start big and narrow down. For example, who are potential home sellers? Now let's drill down. Oh, it's first time home buyer. Well, what do first time home buyers want? Well, and just kind of drilling down from there. And that's how I really started using it, and still use it today, and coach agents how to use it that way.
Sort of like a conversation.
Very much, very much.
I love it. Stephen, what was the first AI tool you integrated into your business?
Oh, wow. Where do I start and where do I end? I
Go.
am an AI nut when it comes to this. And the reason that is because I'm a single agent, but I have a team behind me. I have a team of AI. And what separates me from everybody else is the fact that I'm going to adopt AI, and I'm going to be able to do things that a team of 5, 6, 7, maybe even 25 agents in a brokerage firm can do using AI in a split moment second. And I think that is where agents really need to grasp this and understand that you can leverage yourself as an individual agent, and that you don't need a team of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 staff members to be able to accomplish something at this day and age. So, one of the first things that I did in AI is that I have a really hard time evaluating myself. And when you get into real estate, one of the things that you really want to identify yourself with is, who is your client? Who's the client that really likes to work with you? And I took all my Google reviews and I uploaded them, and I used a prompt that I wrote, and I said, Analyze all of these Google reviews and basically give me an analysis of who my ideal client is." And you'd be amazed at what it spits out. And then you can go further and you can ask it specifically, what are the key things that identify you as an agent that separates you from the rest of the industry? Now, that is way back. That's almost probably 4 years ago now. And where AI has come since then and what it can identify, you will be amazed at how you can refine your business and really separate yourself from the pack so that you can stick out amongst the flock. And I think that is where AI is going to change the average agent to be an exceptional agent.
That is absolutely amazing, and I actually saw some hearts going up, in the reactions there. I love that, Stephen, thank you. Stephen, I'll stay with you. So you've talked about that. I mean, the idea of uploading your reviews to get an idea of what kind of clients you should be looking for is just mind-blowing. Thank you. Um, can you give us a particular tool besides, say, ChatGPT that you're using to reduce that workload? Because you're right. I mean, AI is like all of the assistants for you. Any other tools besides
I
the
have too many
generative?
tools. My tool belt is full. I have to have suspenders and everything else to be an AI agent in these days. But let's talk about some things that are out there in the marketplace that agents can bolt onto their systems. Now, one of the things that I probably would stress more than anything is that let me give you an example of how I would handle just a very simple task right now. So, this day and age, we're having buyer representations agreement in California. We have to have these signed before we go to and actually show a property. And with that, we want to have a conversation. Well, everybody has one of these, right? Everybody has a cell phone. Did you know that it has a memo tool? So now in my buyer interviews, I just simply ask the client, hey, would you mind if I go ahead and recorded this conversation so that way that I may better understand what you're looking for in your future home? So I go ahead and take that memo and I just click record. Guess what happens, especially if you're using iOS 18 or later, that creates a transcript. Now, some of you have talked about fireflies. I think we have fireflies in here. We have Otter. It's actually creating notes of this Zoom call. Why don't you just go ahead and do that with your buyer interview so that you can understand exactly what that client wants? And here's why this is so important in the next evolution of a real estate agent. You're going to be able to take that transcript. You're going to be able to plug that into a prompt that has internet-based, maybe even future MLS access. And you're going to say, hey, based on this conversation with this particular client, find them the ideal property with the ideal location in their price point and provide me that data. And then what I want you to do is share that knowledge with that client via email and via text. How about if you could do that and you could do that in a compounding factor? So what I'm doing right now, we haven't gone all the way that far yet, but we're really, really close. And I actually memo my entire conversation in my buyer interviews. I take that transcript and I actually put that into a ChatGPT prompt. I'm sorry, I've been long in ChatGPT, but I use everything from Gemini to Claude to Copilot. Use them all. They all have different unique circumstances that you can use specific things out of them. And then I turn around and it'll actually give me some ideal things. Now, here's one of the most interesting things. There are internet-based searching tools. It's not direct MLS access, but AI is good enough that it'll actually look in specific neighborhoods. It'll look in specific zip codes and give you kind of a narrowing analysis to where you can actually use that. And then here's what I do. I set those things up in my CRM. So make sure that you have a CRM that you're working through that really is something that you're vested in looking into every single day so that you can cultivate these relationships with clients. And any AI that can be added to your existing CRM, you should really consider and look into. So after we're getting that all done, and what's my next thing? I use a software called Structurally. Well, what's Structurally do? Structurally live time watches what my clients are looking at so I can see, did they favorite a house? How many times did they look at a house? Are they requesting a showing of that house? And if they look at a house 3 to 5 times, AI automatically goes in, analyzes a radius around that zip code of that house or certain characteristics, and then sends them some more properties that maybe they haven't seen yet. This is where AI is going to separate the average agent from the great agent. because you can actually satisfy and help your customers live time. And why AI and doing this in such a way is so important. I have clients that are nurses, that are doctors. They're working in the middle of the night and then they have a break. So they're looking in the MLS or looking at homes at 1 in the morning. No offense, I'm not awake at 1 in the morning, but guess who is? My AI. So we're literally helping clients when they want to be helped on the time frames that they want to be helped.
Thank you, Stephen. There was a question in the chat that I think is very important. Since it's being based on their criteria, have you ever run into a situation where there may be fair housing issues
No,
based on
actually, that's actually a great question, but you could actually put that in the prompt. So you can, when you take your memo transcript, in your prompt, you're going to actually put in the fair housing language. And then ChatGPT will actually go ahead and decipher based on that. Now, it may give you a prompt, and I've had it kick back saying, hey, there are some homes in some other areas that might be different. Would you like to consider those as well? You say, yes, show me those as well. But if you can include the fair housing language in your prompt, you will have no issues with regards to its search function.
I love that. Thank you. David, can you give us some information about a situation where AI has allowed you to better understand and meet clients' needs? I think Stephen went right there. So how about you?
Yeah, and I think too, just to add to Steven's comments there, like keep in mind too, like each AI tool may or may not have different prompts, right? So if you're using ChatGPT, sometimes their prompts will not work in Copilot or Gemini. So just keep that in mind because I know I see a lot of AI groups and everyone's like, oh, copy this prompt, and everyone's like, it's not working. Well, they might be using a different tool than what the prompt was written into. So just keep that in the back of your mind for that. But I mean, AI. The first thing to start with too is we do what's called perfect pitch is a marketing thing that our area has been doing. So we're meeting with agents to use AI to write that elevator speech. Because the one biggest thing is like Steve was talking about who you are as an agent or who is your clientele. This AI can take your bio and convert it into your perfect elevator speech. So someone comes up to you and says, "Oh, what do you do?" Instead of you just kind of be like, I do real estate." This will write a nice little 20-second, speech for you to say, "Oh, I do real estate in this area, blah, 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 blah," whatever. So it takes your bio that you don't like writing about yourself and helps you come out with a better description about yourself that you can use for posting. Um, and then I don't know if we're getting ready to talk about some advanced stuff that we've been doing. So stop me if we don't want to talk about advanced stuff yet. But the one thing I've been using lately in AI is utilizing the feature where I can export from our MLS like comparables. So if someone says, "How much do you think the market value of this home is?" I go into our MLS and do my criteria search and export it into a CSV file, and then put it into ChatGPT or Copilot and say, "You are a real estate appraiser. I want you to review these comparables in this file, come back with the market value," and it'll look at the file within 30 seconds, comes back with, "I think the market value of this home is $300,000. Well, out of that $300,000, why or how did you come to this number? Well, here's the breakdown of all the comparables, the square footage, da 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 da." And you can just break it down into advanced criteria that will help you understand on an appraiser side of things, because I know comparables looking at comps and trying to figure out what today's market is giving for a house is very challenging because the inventory is so low and you're not sure the house down the street got 300, the next house got 250. It's a little bit challenging. So utilize those tools to help you understand. I'm not saying help you replace it, what you're doing in comparables, but help you understand on how to come to that number. Um,
I
if
like
that
that.
makes sense.
Yes, it actually does make sense. So basically, helps you kind of talk out the rationale behind the numbers, gives you the story.
Yeah, and then a lot of people jump on Zillow and Zillow's estimate says this. Well, let's just see how close they are. And usually they're not close, but we can look at the comparables in our MLS system to help us come to that conclusion of what that number should be. So you're better prepared to have that conversation with the buyer or seller of, hey, what do you think this is worth, Dave? Well, compare, looking at all this factual data, it's worth X. And then you get a little bit more confident boost that you understand what a house should be worth.
Excellent. Thank you. Mike, how would you give us one thing that you would suggest to our audience of how they could use AI to generate and convert leads more effectively?
So that's what I get asked most of the time, and that's one of my favorite things to do is help agents with their prospecting. And these guys we're talking about primarily clients that they have. I get asked a lot, and I don't care what class I teach. I could teach a class on painting with watercolors, and some agent would ask me, "Well, how do I get leads out of this?" Yeah, that's what the agents, of course, that's what they want. And so I try to help with that. And what I do is I try to help them understand who their target prospects might be, and then how do they learn what those prospects want to know, and then how do they go answer those questions before they ever get asked. So an example is, let's say I'm looking for, like I mentioned earlier, I might say, give me 5 potential clients. And everything here, David mentioned, it's all about the prompts. And if you tell it, if you give it a role, pretend that you're a real estate coach, or pretend that you're an agent, give it, be very specific in what you want. Treat it like an assistant that's a live person, and just have a conversation with it. But what I'll do is I might say, give me 5 potential types of real estate prospects. I'm a real estate agent. And let's take, for example, first time home buyers. Well, so many agents spend so much time, especially when it comes to, you guys know you have to do the social media, you have to do the outreach, you have to do all those things. And you feel like you have a good idea of what you need to say. And what I have found is, you may know what you think first time home buyers want. There's a tool out there. It's not actually AI, but it's called Answer the Public. And Answer the Public is like most of these tools. There's a free version. There's a paid monthly versions, or annual or lifetime licenses for these things. I try to be a good steward of my clients' budgets. So typically, I try to find out what can agents do the most of with a free version of a tool. But what I found is, if you go to Answer the Public, and what Answer the Public is, when you start typing in a Google search, and if you start typing in how long, and the answers start, do I need to cook macaroni? How long is this road? How long does it take to get somewhere? All those things that Google starts filling in are from searches that are happening across Google, across who knows where. Answer the Public scrubs that information and gives you all those questions that people are asking. So if I just type in answerthepublic.com, first time home buyer, what do I need to know? It's going to give me all the questions that potential first time home buyers are actually asking. So I don't have to guess as much. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take some of those questions, and I'm going to drop those into something like ChatGPT or Perplexity, one of those, and say, help me answer this question. And I might ask it to help me a few different ways. Give me 20 social media posts about this topic. Give me a blog post. Give me a 40-second video script. What I'm doing now is, I'm finding out what my prospects are actually, what do they actually want to know versus me guessing. Then I'm getting information that's really helpful, that's pertinent to their search and what they want to know. And now I'm going out there, and I'm going out in the marketplace, and I'm answering the questions before they even get asked. And I'm saying, hey, are you concerned about your down payment? Because I've looked, that's something that's always asking. Do I know that that's a concern of a lot of first time home buyers? Yes. So I'm going to address that now. And I'm going to say, if you have any more questions about your down payment and what that really is and really isn't, and the myths and the truths about it, give me a call. Or is it, whatever those topics are, if I can find out exactly what they want to know, and then I can go out there and answer those questions before they even ask, I'm the expert, whether I've been doing this for 8 months or 8 years. And I'm trying to create that professional, I'm trying to create that expert persona, and eventually you get to be that. And that's how I'm telling agents pretty frequently on how to generate leads, because that stuff, helps you generate those leads. It helps you. People will ask you questions. People might ask you, whatever social media you're using, they may just ask you the question there, or certainly you should have a call to action and text me, call me, and the agents are getting questions about that. Hey, looks like you know what you're doing. Can you please give me a hand? And that's kind of what I've been showing agents on lead generation.
Thank you, Mike. David, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? How would you use AI to generate and convert those leads more effectively?
Yeah, I think one of the things too is, using the right tools for AI to help, like Mike was saying, scrubbing the leads that you're getting in, even like putting them into your newsletters and drip campaigns. Creating some prompts that will, take if someone subscribes to your newsletter, take them and place them into the right drip campaign, and then have it set up as a schedule to automatically follow up with them. They ask questions or see how they're doing or checking in. Setting that up is going to help you start creating some leads that you may forget about. A lot of times we get these leads coming in and we talk to them and then we put it aside because they're not ready and then we forget about them. And you're losing a lot of potential leads because they're not ready. So
Mhm.
using a lot of those prompts is very helpful.
I love that. Stephen, same question. How would you use AI to generate and convert leads more effectively?
Well, one of the tools I use is that I have found that if you follow me on Instagram or anything of that nature, I do shoot a lot of video. And so we're providing value to the consumer that might be interested in that video at that time. And one of the things that's really interesting is that there's a lot of rules with texting people and things of that nature, TCP rules, and I don't want to expose myself to those things. So we use a service called ManyChat. What ManyChat has done for my social media has been fantastic. So, for the reason that maybe you're marketing a new listing or maybe you're marketing a new coffee shop in your local community, I can actually have the consumer drop a keyword in the comments, or I can say, hey, DM me the word coffee, and I'll send you a $5 gift card to the newest coffee shop, maximum of 20 people. Something of that nature, but it's set up based on AI using a keyword drop. And we've had a lot more success of having great conversations and creating relationships with people because now it's not this pressure sensitive, I'm texting you or following up with you. It's you inquired. So it is a warm conversation and you got the information because I'm going to supply them some type of information, whether it be information on a property, information on the local coffee shop, something of that nature. But in exchange, I'm going to get your information so that in the future I can follow up with you. And I think really agents can separate themselves right now that if you can understand the client journey through social media and how a lead actually arrives to you, you will be very, very successful. Put yourself in their shoes and you're inquiring about property. How would you want it to be received? Maybe you just want some simple information. I don't need 25 phone calls. I just want some simple information. So I use a service called ManyChat. It directly links into your Facebook page or Instagram, and it will go ahead and reply automatically to any and all of these consumers that inquire about specific things. And you can set it up for anything in the world. Maybe it's a free guide to a neighborhood. Maybe it's the market stats of your particular community. And you can make these all very unique, either keywords or AI driven, so that the consumer can be satisfied on their terms.
So that's called mini chat. I'm going to ask you to drop that into the chat for everybody.
All right.
Um, and I'm going to go to Mike now. I want to ask Mike the same question. But if everybody can, when you have an opportunity, put into the chat whatever social media platform you would like to share with our audience, because I am sure that they would love to follow you as well. And then while we're doing that, Mike, um, are there any tools or techniques that you would recommend to allow the real estate agents to analyze those market trends and property values? David already answered this one very, very thoroughly. I appreciate that. So, Mike, what do you have?
So honestly, for that, typically that's not something I'm helping the agents with. And I would love to just look, I'm the sales guy. I could talk for the next 10 minutes and I'd love to show that I'm right. But I think those guys probably have better answer than I do for that because I rarely get into, let me show you how to do the comps. So I think those tools David mentioned are great. In fact, I was taking some notes on that.
You weren't the only one, Mike. I'm over here writing furiously. Um, so that's like we do have a couple of audience questions though. Let me start with that. Um, and to be honest with you, this one is actually over my head. So hopefully you'll have an answer for her. What are website behavior tools or apps that track customer behavior on websites to see what they are clicking on and where their engagement is? And
David, you want to go first?
You can go ahead.
Okay. So, first and foremost, if you want to go down this path, I would educate yourself as an agent. You can go on YouTube and you can get a rich education with regards to targeting. It's called target marketing. And you're going to be able to get a lot of information. Let's start very basic. Okay. If you have a Facebook page for your business, you can create what's called a Facebook pixel. All right. Now, if you're not aware, Facebook got sued, Meta got sued a number of years ago. And so for us as real estate agents, there's actually a special category for housing. How does that limit us? Well, that limits us when we go to target and run ads to people. We really can dissect that particular segment as much as we would like to because of the settlement of that lawsuit. So, for example, if you run a basic Facebook ad, you're going to be in a 15-mile radius. Well, that's pretty large for most counties. Here, where I live in San Diego, 15 miles, that's going to draw a pretty large audience that probably is not looking at that particular house. So there's other avenues, right? So you can run into Google Analytics as well, and you can actually go ahead and have Google Analytics on your website, all right? Now, if you reach out to your marketing specialist for whatever brand that you're with, you'll be amazed at how they can actually put this in on the back end of your agent website. Why this is key and why it is so important is you can go ahead and download that data later if it's not automatically being pushed into your CRM of who those individuals are. That creates what's called a custom audience. I love custom audiences. The reason I love custom audiences is because those people have either visited me, looked at one of my ads, or have done something to show interest in something that I'm doing. Maybe it's just a video I shot. Maybe it's from YouTube. Maybe it's from Instagram. So don't be offended if you watch some of my Instagram videos and then all of a sudden you start getting tracked and you start seeing my ads, because that's exactly what's going to happen. It's the vision of, for example, I think they use all the time, oh, how about red high-heeled shoes? And you do one Google search for red high-heel shoes, and then all of a sudden your entire feed is filled with red high-heel shoes. Yes, that's exactly how you want to be as a real estate agent, and it is possible. It just takes some things on your end to align all your systems to make sure that you're set up so that you can be the agent of choice, or you can be that red high heel shoes all in their feed.
I love that. And T is saying yes, retargeting is what you're talking about. And I believe the code that you were talking about is something that can be applied not only to your social media but to your realtor website as well. Correct?
That is correct. So my Facebook pixel as well as my Google Analytics is on both locations. So it is filled within my social media channels as well as on my website. And depending on what you do on my website, it's going to land you in a custom audience. So if you went to a home search, That's going to be different if you went to my blog, because those two people aren't the same thing. They didn't show the same pattern of behavior. So you don't want to send homes to people that are reading a blog post on your website. That's not what they showed up for. But if they inquired about a certain community, maybe you can follow up with more information about that particular community. Maybe you have a free guide for that particular community. So this is what segmenting your audience really makes a difference in creating those custom audiences so that you can satisfy each and every customer of where they're at. And all you want to do is be top of mind when they have a housing question or be that agent of choice.
I like it. David, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, yeah. What I like to add is on the flip side of things. Let's start with ground zero of how about looking at your own agent website or your own agent Facebooks, to see if it's set up properly for people to find you. So like for example, you see another agent out there, you're like, wow, they're really doing a lot of good business. It seems like people can find them. Use them as an example. You can actually put that into Copilot or ChatGPT and say, here's my website, and here is another person's website. I want you to compare websites and give me some feedback on where I can improve. So it'll break it down and say, okay, it seems like it's hard to find you. Maybe update some description about yourself. You don't do blogging right now, whatever. It's going to give you a great detail. So start with updating your own personal sites first before you get into what Stephen was just talking about. Because all the stuff that he was talking about, it's not going to help you in any way if you're not set up properly. So just go ahead and go into Copilot and do that. Just see, and you'll be amazed what it comes back with to what needs. And it could be something small, but that little small change will help your SEO of yourself get updated better so you can be found a lot better. Then start working with what Stephen was just saying, that you can add the second layer on top of that.
Well, I did that with our website, and I did it. I did it with my competitors. So I went to some of the other title companies in the area that are my top competitors, uh, because we were taking a look at our website, and I said, "What's good about this website?" And I would you just put the URL in there. What's good about this website? What's good about this one? And different competitors, and I would get a good analysis of what's good. And then I said, "Look at mine,"
Yep.
and we got what we got. And then I said, "Compare. Well, you're better than this, or this one. If you did this, it'd be more." So what David said, I've done that on ours, and that's some good information.
I love that idea, guys.
And then the nicest thing about exactly what David said, it's all free.
It's all good. Yes.
Absolutely. Um, so Teague had another question that I'm actually going to direct to Stephen and David after, because she's asking a very specific question about Coldwell Banker website. So I'll just send you some contact information and let you all talk offline on that one, if that's okay with you, Teague.
Yep. Sounds good.
Grace is asking, and I'm not entirely sure I understand the question. Which funnel are you using that you can insert a prompt with AI? I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask
I'm not
Grace
sure
to
about that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
expand on that just a little bit more because I wasn't quite sure what you were asking either. We'll circle back around to that
I
one.
can give you an example of that though, Melanie. So
Sure.
let me use a funnel that I use quite regularly. Okay. A free guide to something is a great funnel. Whether it's a free home buyer's guide, a free home seller's guide, those are really narrow niches. But a free guide to a particular community, maybe you have parks, maybe you have coffee shops, restaurants, a lot of people that are relocating to a particular area. Maybe you're in a relocation city, you have a lot of people moving into there. Okay. So, one of the things we do is that we provide that free guide. And let me teach you a little trick. So, I have really bad ADHD. I have very limited capacity to spend on something, and I want it done and I want it to work. And so, one of the things I use is that if you write a prompt about a particular guide that you want to create, you can use an AI tool called Gamma, GAMMA.ai. It'll create the guide for you. Really easy. Now you have a PDF to use. Now you park that PDF on a link. It could be as simple as a Google Drive link or a OneDrive link, whatever you want it to be. But every time somebody clicks on it, now you have their email information. Or you could actually create, if you wanted to, a very simple form for somebody to fill out. You can use Google Forms. I see a lot of agents just using Google Forms to where they fill out the information to be able to get a copy of the guide. This is a really simple funnel to just expand your audience. So that way you're working with the right people that are looking to move to your community. And relocation is kind of a key one for something like that.
And it was called Gamma, GAMMA, and then it's .ai.
That's correct.
All right. Popped it in the chat. Wonderful. Thank you. And then I think you said the other one was mini chat, right?
Mini chat. Yeah.
For some reason, my chat is not up on my screen, so I apologize for that. But it's MANY chat, CHAT. Incredible software. And one of the things that's so great about ManyChat is the fact that ManyChat is actually an approved Meta vendor. So if you're trying to expand your audience on social media or trying to do something to be more organically driven so people find you, you want to use vendors that align themselves with the social media companies. And ManyChat is an approved vendor of Meta. So your account's not going to be penalized for using an AI tool.
Got it. Excellent. And Mike, you said it was answerthepublic.com was the
Correct.
sorry,
Answerthepublic.com. Yep.
got that one in there as well. All right, so let's go ahead and keep on. And Anthony, thank you. I'm good to see you again, sir. He's actually trying to help Teague out there as well, so we'll just drag him into the chat. Um, so for all of you, and Mike, I'll go ahead and start with you. What challenges did you face when you were originally integrating AI into your business, and how would you recommend to our audience to help overcome them?
I think a couple of things that you have to be wary of, or you have to learn, and you just have to know is one, when you're writing your prompts, so many people's prompts are about 2 or 3 sentences, you know. And if you've seen the national class, there's an example in the class that says something like, um, "Tell me about dog breeds." Well, a better prompt is, "Tell me about dog breeds that are suitable for apartment living." If I'm trying to find a dog that's going to work well in my apartment, and even that's really short. So one of the things I would say is really be thorough in your prompt. And where many of them are 1 sentence or 2 or 3, it's okay if you write 12 sentences and be really thorough about that, because the more information that you give these tools, the better the information you get back from it. And you can ask them. You can say, just a quick example, tell me about dog breeds suitable for apartment living. Ask me any questions you need to know to better understand my goals here. And it'll ask you some questions and you answer those, and it better understands what you're trying to do. So be really thorough in your prompts. And I learned some of that. You guys don't know how much time I spent on the website promptengineering.com. I mean, I can get nerdy sometimes, but those guys take it to another level. So really be thorough in your prompts. The other thing I would say to just be careful of is accuracy of the information that you get. Um, we tend to trust it. We tend to feel like the answer is going to be right and accurate, and you just need to double check it, because when someone yells, they're not going to yell at ChatGPT or Claude or any of those others. They're yelling at you, and you're going to be responsible if you put something out there that violated fair housing rules, and tell it, like Steve said, "Hey, help me with this, help me with this. Please do not violate any fair housing rules." So you can tell it stuff like that and check for the accuracy, um, whether it's data, whether it's numbers. And I think probably most people, or a lot of people on this particular webinar, might have moved past just using it for something like, write me a property description. Well, read that property description and make sure that it's accurate. Read the social media posts that it gave you. Read the stuff that it gives you and make sure that what you are putting out there is right and it's truthful and you're not violating any fair housing laws, because it's not always accurate. And if you feel it's not, say, hey, I don't think that's right. Can you try again under these laws or under these rules or in this state? I'm trying to do this in Texas, which is going to have different rules than, say, in California or Pennsylvania or Washington.
So, following along with what Mike was just saying, there's a concept called hallucination. So, David, Steve, are you familiar with that term?
On the real estate side or and just in general?
Just in general, just in the AI world.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hallucination in the real estate world is what most sellers think they can get from their house. I understand.
Right.
But in the AI world, what is a hallucination, and how what do you do to kind of avoid that?
Steve, you want to
Steve?
go first?
Go ahead, David.
Yeah.
All right. Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
I will just say, my understanding of the term hallucination in the AI world is almost what Mike was just talking about. Um, AI is built to please us. They want to give us an answer, and sometimes that answer is 100% made up.
Right, yeah.
So what can you do as a real estate agent to kind of guard against that?
Well, I mean, you can definitely build your profile, with ChatGPT, for example. Like you can actually start putting in prompts to talk about who you are. How do you speak? How is your tone of voice? Especially using manners. It's funny, but if you say, "Hey, please give me this," once you start giving a little bit manners, it treats you a little bit better. um, and and you try yelling at it, and it doesn't want to cooperate with you. It's almost like a human, right? It's like if you're yelling at it, it's just not going to work with you. So I found too, especially, do not do like, okay, hey, you are a real estate agent. I want you to do blah blah blah, da, 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 da," and then all of a sudden you have like a you know paragraph full of stuff. It's just not going to work. I mean, the thought of just telling it all at one time is the best way to do it. It's not. Start off with a little bit, a couple prompts, and then you massage that to a little bit better granular detail. And a lot of times it doesn't come back exactly what you want. So you have to learn how to speak its language almost, right? Maybe I didn't use the right prompt. Maybe I didn't tell it properly what I was thinking because it doesn't know what you're thinking. Um, so I think, once you start telling it's a little bit more information about how you handle things, it's going to come back better um, to handle you a little bit.
I think it goes back to what Mike was saying earlier about having the conversation. And I do know from personal experience, apparently I don't explain myself very well. So I get into some very long conversations with ChatGPT or a Copilot. Steve, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? Yes, Mike, I'll come
Yeah,
back.
I think you need to remember one thing: trash in, trash out. It's really that simple. So you have to know on the other end really probably what exists there. One of the easiest tools for agents to compare and contrast is to use different AI.
Mm.
So use different AI tools. Yes, the prompts are not going to be the same. Everybody has kind of said that already. But compare and contrast the results of modifying your prompt to get similar data results or similar information, and compare and contrast what each of the AI tools is providing you. And now there could be something in between that might be somewhat accurate, but now you're not relying on one particular tool as, let's say, the where the letter of the law is at that time. We are only as good as what has been programmed into this AI system. The more you feed into it, the more it's going to give back to you exactly what you're looking for. But what's really interesting, and I'll probably overshare at this point, do a search for yourself within one of the AI tools. Find me the best real estate agent in Katy, Texas. See what it puts out. You'll be amazed at what it's using to actually get the data set. So now reverse engineer, how can I be that person? How can I reprogram the AI tool so that I'm top of mind. I'm getting the results that I want, because the future of real estate search for a consumer is all AI driven. It's not going to be a Google search. And if you notice, if anybody signed into Chrome lately, you're actually using Gemini as an AI search tool. So think of it from that perspective, that the search is only as good as what's programmed in there. It's not like an SEO search. It's much different. It is a programmed item that is already there with a data set to provide based on those search results. So the more you can feed it, the better information you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, like the free ones may not have the same strength as the paid versions of certain things, you know. So you might, like Steven was saying, you might have to pick and choose your tools and try each one and see how they compare. Because if you're paying, especially with Copilot being part of our Microsoft platform that, you know, at least Coldwell Banker gets, that, you know, that has the built-in chat GBT in it and a little bit more advanced than you just go into a free version of chat GBT. So, you know, keep that in back of your mind as well.
Mike?
I was going to say exactly what Steve said. What it's giving you is what's being put in there. If you feel like, man, I know in my knower that this probably isn't right, well, you just go confirm it. And I was going to say, go confirm it in another tool. So just going to sit here and parrot Steve because I thought that's exactly what I was going to say.
I love it. And speaking of, what you feed into it, I think this would probably be a good point to remind everyone in the audience, please, please, please do not feed in personally identifiable information about your customers and clients. Because as Steve and David and Mike have said, AI is learning from all of that, but we do not want that kind of information out there. Gentlemen, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, you definitely, like, you know, we talked about before, reviewing things and, yeah, not giving confidential stuff to it. You definitely don't want that being used incorrectly. Um, so yeah, it's better not to, you know, feed that into the system if you can at all chance.
Exactly.
You
So
might say though, I'm working with a potential client that has an income in this range, that wants to live in this area, who's who's as a profession is a doctor and wants to live in the Houston Medical Center and be within 30 minutes or 20 minutes. So I think you could probably take the characteristics that build something, take characteristics from an individual and without sharing exactly, hey, Dr. John Smith makes $900,000 for every surgery he does, and he wants to live 10 minutes from here, but also on 7 acres. I mean, you could probably take some of those characteristics and build something without actually saying, "Hey, look up John Smith and all his personal information."
right. And that's what I think that's what we're talking about is
Yeah.
avoid that personally identifiable information, but definitely use the general characteristics as part of your prompts. Um, so Teague was saying she's interested or they're interested in social media integrations or DMs, the direct messaging. Any integrations with any AI tools that you might be familiar with?
Oh, you can go down a rabbit hole with this. So let's start with MiniChat. Okay, that is the simple, easiest AI tool to use for any agent seeking business in their DMs. It works with your Facebook page. It'll also work with your Instagram. Okay. They are working if you do business on TikTok. My personal clientele is not TikTok based, but if you're going to go down that road, there's some there as well. Here's the thing. The reason I say you can go down a rabbit hole is because I have actually created a way where the conversation will start in MiniChat, and once it graduates to a function based on client behavior, it exports the conversation to ChatGPT, and now ChatGPT is engaged in the conversation and replying to the customer. That is like, it took me over a year to create, write, make sure it was in my tone, the things that I want. You can go down a rabbit hole with this stuff to actually be that type of agent if that's really what you want to do. I would tell you, you need a lot of volume to make it worth its while. What I found after a year of programming and allowing clients to be able to engage in an AI conversation with ChatGPT is that I didn't have enough clients that were even using it, that I wasted a year of my life. So my point to you is like, you can really, really go down deep holes of trying to have a system that really would run itself. But the reality is that you're still the face of your business and you actually still need to be involved. So use AI as a tool to maybe be just that initial conversation starter. And then you step in and now you take over the conversation as a human and build that relationship. So it's not robotic. It's not basic. It's not an arbitrary conversation using AI. It's an actual human that wants to build trust and have a relationship with a consumer so that you can genuinely help them.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question for each of you. And then if we have a couple of minutes left, we'll see if there's any more questions. Mike, I'm going to start with you this time. What emerging AI technologies are you most excited about? And how do you plan to incorporate them in your business?
I think AI is really going to have an impact on the title industry before long. And in terms of, and since that's where I come from, then that's kind of where I'm looking. And these are things like title searches, commitments, and things like that. So on one hand, I'm excited for that because I think that will make the process easier, faster. We might not be looking at 30-day closes, but as a revenue generating person in a title company, I still want I still want people to come to the title companies to get those things done. So I'm interested in seeing how companies like Texas American and other AIS title companies are going to incorporate that into the title search process, the commitment process, and make closings easier for buyers and sellers. And so I'm interested to see how that's going to come out.
Thank you, Mike. David?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, AI is evolving every day, right? And there's a couple of companies I've been playing around with to help um, almost be like an assistant for me while I'm out and about doing showings or listing appointments. So, like for example, last year I set up like a Mad Max. Sorry if I'm showing my age from the computer generated guy that if you're out looking to appeal your taxes, here's a site to go to, and then it was a replica of me, and then they could interact with it. Like, well, how do I appeal my taxes? And then I come out and be like, oh, this is how you appeal your taxes. Would you like to know more? So it's like a personal AI, but it was there to help me alleviate some of those you know times where I couldn't be available for somebody. And there's a lot of companies now. Sesame is one of the companies, not the PBS show, but they are doing a voice over AI. So it's almost like an Alexa kind of thing, but it's very human tone. And you can just ask it anything, and it'll actually have sarcasm. It'll interact with you. And I'm looking forward to seeing how far that goes to help with our business to kind of have that again, that assistant on the side that's going to help you while you're out doing your business.
I like that. Stephen?
So I'm going to go back to video because we didn't talk a lot about video. Where AI has come from a scripted prompt to a finished product video has been amazing. And if I told you that there's been light years of changes in 6 months, I would not be doing it justice. The ability of AI to take a text prompt and create a video based on your text prompt has been amazing. So this can be used in so many different facets, from your marketing campaigns, social media, trying to describe a neighborhood, or maybe you just want to send an informational video to an existing client that answers a question that they may have asked. This could all be automated through AI by taking that text and going to an AI generated video content creator and then it actually comes back into your CRM and gets sent to your client. This is, and they're getting so good, really, because if you look at where Hollywood Studios is, you can see how much AI is already being used, of where they don't have to use green screen work anymore. Now they actually just use AI prompt. And I think that's really going to help real estate agents. If you don't like being on camera, it's really going to help you. I crossed that bridge 2 years ago and just said, okay, whatever. I'm not, my face isn't changing. I'm going to have to deal with the one I have and put it in front of the camera. So if you don't like that person and you want to have a different avatar, AI is going to be able to do that for you. One of the things, and I would share with your audience, is that if you don't like being on camera, but you do need to get things out there, there's a great AI service called HeyGen, HeyGen. All you do is type in the script. Maybe you got the script from ChatGPT, but it will take your face and it will create an entire video for you. And then you can send it to your client. You can use it in video. You can use it in social media, whatever you decide to use it for. And this is where we are able to kind of separate ourselves from the pack to be able to get in front of clients in the timeframes that they want and make sure that we're answering the questions that they need to move them to the next level, whether they're a home buyer or a home seller. I really do think the more video that you can put in front of a customer to build that trust and build that relationship will really speak volumes in your business in the future.
Thank you, Stephen. And then Anthony in the chat, he's actually saying there's an AI tool called captions.ai where you record your voice and then prompt what you want the video to be about. And it uses video of you and your voice to create it. So absolutely amazing tools. So I'm going to give everybody a minute to see if they have a question or anything that they want to drop into the chat. And I'm going to give each of you kind of a last word. And this would be basically advice you would give to your fellow real estate agents, or Mike, to your client real estate agents, of what to consider. Maybe other resources, tools, whatever you'd like to say. You have the last word. Steve, I'll start with you, since you put yourself on mute.
Sure. What I would do is, if you're not familiar with AI, start basic. Pick one particular aspect that you think you might want to use AI for your business, whether it's marketing, whether it's a blog, whether it's how to write an email. Just pick something in your business that you would like to try and use AI with and start. And you will be amazed at how you get more comfortable. You get to understand how AI works and how you can prompt it to do different things. Like David said, the future of AI is going to be pretty amazing, because you're going to be able, and already there is the capability, to have a personal AI assistant do repetitious tasks. If it's going to do the same thing. For example, if you're trying to look up MLS stats for the last 30 days, I don't have to do that anymore. I just programmed an AI to go do it for me. And it actually logs into a website and pulls the data and then saves it to a drive for me. And I pick up the data from there and then go use it to write scripts or things of that nature. So if you're very, very apprehensive of AI, just pick something, just start, and you will be amazed at how comfortable you can get, and get comfortable with it, because I do believe the future is going to be in AI-driven abilities to help real estate agents, help the consumer, home buyers and home sellers, get what they need in the timeframes they want.
I like that. David, Eric wants to know, what tool do you find most valuable for prospecting for sellers? And let's say AI tool.
Well, again, for AI tools, I mean, mostly I'm using ChatGPT for a lot of stuff where I'm extracting a lot of data from system tools. Like for example, our MLS or RPR tools. I'll extract information as far as their scores of a home that home seller who may want to sell in the future. I'll extract that data and put it into ChatGPT for it to do an analysis of taking this information as far as what the score is. It looks like they're going to sell. What would I do in this case, right? How do I geofarm them? How do I reach out to them? Do I write an email or a letter or whatever? give me some ideas of what I need to do to promote myself to the seller to get in front of them. So, I mean, ChatGPT might be the biggest thing that we use mostly for a lot of our stuff. At least what I do. I don't know, Stephen, might have a different tool or something he uses, but usually it's more of extracting the data and then using ChatGPT.
And Mike, I'm gonna hand you this one on a silver platter. I believe you and Texas American have Live Farm Pro or some version of that.
I already wrote it down. Thanks.
We're reading minds. So talk to Eric
So,
about Live Farm Pro.
so we have a farming tool that we use. And by the way, I hate to say farming because agents have been doing this for a long time. When they hear farming, they think I'm going to get a list. I'm going to send postcards. That doesn't work. And so I prefer to call it prospecting. But Live Farm Pro is a tool that incorporates neighborhood data. It incorporates some predictive analytics. They will actually do some looking to see where are you on social media? Are you looking for homes? Are you looking for moving companies? And then they put a little AI in there and what it ends up with. And a lot of these tools have, hot sellers, high sales scores. This one calls them hot movers. And these are the properties that are showing the signs or they're showing the characteristics of homes that are going to be on the market in the next 12 to 24 months. And a lot of these tools have this AI capabilities in there. And if I'm looking for sellers, that's where I'm going to start is who are the ones that are exhibiting the characteristics of somebody that's going to sell in the next 12 to 24 months. From there, I'm going to go find out. In the data that I'm going to get from the tool, I can find out, is there a presence of children? So are they about to be empty nesters? Are they long time? Are they about to downsize? And I can get all that information. I can go find out who, what questions are people in my farm asking? What are the demographics or how would I chop up this farm into some smaller pieces? What questions do they want to know? How am I going to answer them? How am I going to go out and market? And I'm going to do these things we've all talked about all for the last hour or so. And I'm going to direct them specifically at those addresses where they are hot movers. And if I was chasing sellers, that's what I would do.
I love that. Um, so, Matthew, it's called Live Farm Pro. If you will reach out to your local AIS title services brand, they should probably be able to help you, or I will be happy to get some more information to you based on what region you're in. And folks, both to my amazing panelists and to our audience, I have held you 9 minutes after the hour now, mainly because I could continue listening to these gentlemen for the next 2 hours. Maybe I could have you guys come back one of these days, and we'll do it again.
Be
Sounds
glad
good.
to.
All right. Say goodbye, and then I will go ahead and end the program.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Good luck.
Bye bye, everyone.